I'm Alison Turnbull. I'm an artist. I live and work in London. I would always describe myself as an abstract artist, but over the last 20 years, I've used things that are outside of art, outside of painting, as source material. A kind of process of conversion or transformation has to happen in the studio. So I'm using found material to make abstract work. My life as an artist is punctuated by often quite ambitious in terms of their scale or location projects with architecture. The most recent project I've done really brings the two, painting and site-specific work with architecture, together. I made a wall painting for Edinburgh's Botanic Garden, which was based on their collection of rare rhododendrons. I guess I'm always trying to cross-fertilize from one work to the next, from what's happening in the studio to what's happening out in a project like this one. Peterhouse Technology Park's in Cambridge and is occupied in the main by Arm.
Arm is the UK's largest technology firm. We design IP, intellectual property, and it is sold within 225 billion devices globally currently, and that ranges from smartphones to servers and sensors and other devices.
When they were going to build new offices, new workspaces, opposite their new offices is their car park, which has a facade, and I'm making a work for that vast 100-metre long facade. It's the biggest piece that I've ever made. I worked initially with the architects, Scott Brownrigg, then with the people who are actually building and constructing the car park. Initially, when I first came on board, the facade was going to be concrete, which was very exciting to me. But concrete was then deemed too heavy a material. I wanted something that would kind of exist in contrast to everything else on site. And the architects wanted something that somehow would be more harmonious with what was already there. The material was established. We found these panels made of composite material, Petrock panels. I like to find something given by the architecture. As I came on board on the project, they were designing a series of solar fins, and each of those fins is triangular and it's perforated by triangular shapes. And so I thought I would use those shapes as givens. That's how I started, with the idea of working with lots of small triangles. So it was almost as if a sort of huge gust of wind has kind of blown those triangles out of their perforated fins, and they've landed on the wall opposite. To make the 250 elements, I've worked with fabricators called Setworks, making prototypes and seeing what would work and making slight changes and adjustments along the way. The material that I've always liked is anodized aluminium. It is a way that colour is sort of fused to the metal. The colour range is very limited, though. I've chosen a sort of gold, a silver, the natural aluminium itself, and then a red and a green. I'm hoping that there will be something adding a dynamic that is a little bit unusual or surprising. We're now at the second week of a fortnight of installation. There are always adjustments that you have to make when a sort of conceptual world and a paper world meet up with the sort of reality of nuts and bolts and steel bars. I'm working with Polish Pete and Czech Pete, as they style themselves. It's been going well. So I actually worked out that because there are 27 sections of panels across the long facade, and each of those is then divided into individual panels, I could actually use a random number generator to place different color triangles, different size triangles in different places. Once I had my map, my plan, I then made drawings of each area, 1 to 10 scale, front and back. I left a sort of openness to where things would be, as long as the drawing was followed in terms of a general area, we could move the triangles and play around with them. So I will go along with one of the Peters and mark out on the back of the panels where everything goes. The triangles are secured, glued with a metal plate from both sides.
There we go, all good.
And I thought it would be nice to do something which is quite subtle, but somehow links both buildings. There will be triangles sandblasted onto the paving and the road between the two.
Sandblasting is controlled erosion. The abrasive comes out the end of the nozzle at very high velocity and it will eat into the stone. The stencil, you put that down, it won't eat through the metal, but it will eat through the triangle shape that's in the metal. We are doing them in 3 different depths.
I was very mindful of the fact that most people who will be experiencing this work will see it on a daily basis. And I hope that its sort of subtleties and how it changes in different lights and different weathers, that will become apparent to people. That's the approach that I always wanted, to have something which is slow, which doesn't happen all at once, which unfolds in a way. Once I was making the final working drawings, I happened to be listening to a song by Norwegian electronic duo Røyksopp, and there was a line in it, those tiny little sparks, and I thought that was just rather wonderful in terms of what I was making here, and I sort of held that with me, and I thought, well, I'll wait, and while I'm installing and once it's finished, I'll see if that title has kind of taken root. And I think in terms of what happens here at ARM, the idea of small microchips powering up our world, it works for the piece. And so the piece is called Those Tiny Little Sparks.
I quite like the idea that the people who are looking at it every day might be asking questions of it that as a visual artist I might not normally ask of a piece of work. I can't tell the viewer what to think or feel. I can make the work to the best of my abilities, best of my advantage, but I don't set out with an end in view. I really feel like I'm another spectator in one way, trying to discover something as I go along.